of the day, so these players are going to be warming up with some clamplets. You'll love to see it.
Yes, indeed.
So
2 splashes each side. Okay.
Yep.
What a surprise.
Oh, the explosive new. Like, I can see the aggression on the side of Jeepers here is clans, but the Explo, was not expecting that.
Yes, neither was I. But already, what a surprise. Hello, crab. Righty, helping Jeepers push into mid, but then there's another crab. Also, what a surprise. And then suddenly someone else is dead. Straight away, this is very back and forth, but for a second there were 3 down on the side of Yoru, which has made it a little bit easier for Jeepers to now make their way towards that basket and get the first power plant in.
Yes, they were able to open the basket. It is really tough to get a push going on this map because there's not too many entries into the basket area, but with that 3 down, that was a nice opening for Jeepers here. And down to 74, not a bad start, but that is going to be a wipe off of that.
Yes, indeed. And Yoru is able to get back into mid and start covering up, getting some clams, but they're going to have to be careful because Jeeps are coming back. And they're not liking the crab.
That Stamper's a nice counter to that crab. If you get behind it, it's just an instant KO for whoever using the crab. And speaking of which, that's going to be 2 down with 1 jumping out for Jeepers here. Yoru has some solid control of mid now.
Yes, indeed. But Jeepers here still trying to make sure that they can't get up that ramp there. And if they can't get up, then all they can do is go across the mid, which is a very vulnerable place to be, especially when there's a crab. Or 2.
Or 3. Or 4. At least we can't get above 4 in this match.
Yes. There is a cap on the crabs. At least. We'll see. You can make the most of those crabs.
We saw some crab on crab violence, and that is going to be the Explo going down, but there's a nice trade with the Stamper right there, essentially making it a 2v1 with Yoru now able to just move on to the plat, and they are going to encounter 5th gen here on the Tetras, able to dodge their attacks, but not for long. Looks like they're going to be trying to get a push going, and they have some clams to back it up.
Yep, but yet again, it's always getting up onto that spinner area and actually being able to push to the basket. You can have all the clams you want, but if you can't get near the basket, you can't really do much with them.
Yeah, it does make it really tricky, and speaking of which, that is going to be another 3 down. Jeepers moving in, and they have a power clam in the basket now. That's going to remove their penalty and get some more points on the board, effectively moving up to 61.
And they're still going, now below 50. You really need to get them out of there, and there's still one. But they're able to kind of back out, maybe keep themselves alive, and kind of act as a sort of like slow down for them to be able to push directly in there. So Yoru here trying to get to the point where they can actually put some clams on the board. It is looking like this might be it, but there's already 2 down. This is not quite the push they're looking for.
Yeah, they were able to get 2 down off the Jeepers there, but then the crab got popped and effectively stalled them out long enough for the rest of the team of Jeepers to respawn, and that just brought it to a delayed wipe off of Yoru. So now they are pushed right back to their spawn once again.
Yes, indeed. This is really not looking good for Yoru, but it's still possible, though getting to 34 in a single push would be difficult. They might not need to do just a single push, but we stuck in their base right now. It's not looking like they're going to get much other opportunities, especially with that now down to 20 points for Jeepers.
Yeah, that was it looks like a wipe right there with 2 full power clams in, and now they got some follow-up. That's going to be the KO for Jeepers.
Oh goodness, yeah, this is quite a start for Jeepers, but Yoru just could not get to that basket. They tried multiple times, but just were not able to make it quite the distance. And yet again, as we were saying, getting up that ramp, getting onto that kind of spinner area, very difficult. But well done to Jeepers there. They just kept that aggression up, kind of made it so that Yoru couldn't really get anywhere with their clams.
Yeah, the Explo was certainly a nice slot. It got some good angles, especially over the spinners. But as you said, just the sheer aggression from Jeepers, they just put Yoru on the back foot for most of that game. Like they were able to take mid a couple of times, just not enough to get past the spinner area.
Yep, yes, indeed. Now, it will be interesting to see if Spot Zone's on Mako here, because it's kind of a very different, objective mode. If maybe their kind of more backline oriented comp there from Yoru might serve them better here, but Mart is still a very tight map. Most of the time you're able to get to the backlines as an aggressive team, so it might still swing in Jeepers towards Jeepers in that regard. We'll have to see how both teams play it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this map is one of the fan favorites. It can, as you said, is able to help out both styles of play, both the aggression and just the backline comp. The Explo is certainly going to have a much better time with the zones mode, but if Jeepers gets into the behind the plat area, it's going to be rather tough for them to be able to get to zone.
Yes, indeed. And they are keeping that Explo.
Ooh, and they're going with the double Splatana on the side of Jeepers there. Very
interesting. And that can work really well because you've still got that range while keeping aggression. You don't have to kind of give that up. But already 2 down on the side of Jeepers. Both of those wipers, as we were talking about them, down. But they have that crab to keep up the kind of aggression and make it so that Yoru still has to kind of overextend to get back in. So Yoru here trying to come around, trying to cut everyone off, get a couple people out of the way, but it doesn't look like that is what ended up happening. I don't really know what actually happened there, how everyone died so quickly, but
well, there's a lot of pressure being put on that splash player there, but then both of the Splatanas, they've been dipping in and out. They've been going hard on the aggression, and although they've been taken down several times, they've been coming right back and then just pushing the enemy spawn. So it looked like they got a good flank off of that last push.
Yeah, they were able to then just keep the aggression going, as you can see right there, and that certainly helps them keep the zone for as long as they have. It is looking like Yoru just need to get some kind of a foothold in, and I'm not sure if this is going to be that, but they're certainly trying to get that paint down if they can.
No, not quite enough. The crab is trying to paint. Oh, they are able to flip it just in time with only the 15 points remaining. So now with 3 minutes left in the match, they have a chance to bring this back, and with 2 down off the Jeepers, that's going to be an excellent start for that push.
Yes, indeed. They just have to keep up the kills, and that is what they're seeming to be doing now. They have lost their backline, but that is not the end of it, especially if they still have the man advantage on the field, which they did a moment ago, but they might have just lost it. Looks like so with that crab coming in. That should mean that'll be a flip over to the side of Jeepers. And now Yoru have to get back in again, get to that zone.
Yeah, they've made some excellent plays here, being able to get into the zone, but once again, Jeepers has been able to just roll right back almost immediately, and with that extra lead in the beginning, they are going to be taking the advantage here. They just got to press for time, and they're already almost through that checkpoint, or not the checkpoint, the penalty points here. But with the wiper, the last one remaining, they are going to have to back up as Yoru takes the zone once again.
Yes, indeed. But that wiper is still sitting there and was probably intending to stay. But point sensors, they'll find who you're looking for. Ooh, that is an important set of kills. That will mean that Yoru will be able to keep this zone and hopefully get well through their points there. Maybe get close to that, get into 15 to see if they can get the lead. But they do have to make sure that no one can get past them.
Yeah, that's exactly the opportunity that they wanted. It is just a wiper, and they're going to be taken down. They are effectively pushing Jeepers back into their base, and they are so close to getting that lead here as well. They might be able to bring it to the KO if they can hold on. That is going to be 2 down off Yoru. There's just the X-Blow and one of the T-Tech keeping it, and they are able to get the KO with that Saw.
That was not what that game looked like the whole way through. That did not end the way that I think Jeepers were expecting that to end. They had it so solidly for the majority of that game, but when it came to crunch time and they needed to get back in, Yoru just kept picking them off one by one. You know, they just weren't actually getting anywhere near the zone when they needed to.
Jeepers were doing an excellent job. Like pretty much every single time that they would lose the zone, they were able to get right back in. But that last time, they got it wiped right there, and Yoru was just able to keep the zone and still able to get through some of their penalty points. And so that effectively just turned the tides on them and just allowed them to get that KO.
Yes, indeed. You always have to be careful about that, because sometimes if you give the other team just a little bit of leeway, they are able to just kind of snowball it, especially near the end of the game. So still very well played by both teams there. It looked a certain kind of way at the start and then ended a completely different way. So well played. But that does mean we're already getting to game 3 on the first set. Oh, love it. Love it. And that is going to be Rainmaker on Eeltail. Thoughts about that?
Personally, I am not a fan of playing this map mode, but I am glad I am spectating for this one here. This is going to be a tough one, and I think it's certainly going to play to the aggressive style that Jeepers has been showing so far.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's certainly they'll have a lot of ways if they're able to get like rush down Yoru, then it's going to be very difficult for Yoru to come back from that, and that is what Jeepers tends to be doing so far. They'll pile on the aggression and roll in some crab tanks and then just hope that you kind of crumble under the pressure, and that does work for them, but Yoru's catching on to that. So we're gonna have to see who's able to come out on top here and push this Rainmaker to goal.
Indeed, and it looks like Yoru is going to be dropping the X-Blow in favor of the Sloshing Machine, now bringing them up to that full confidence. It looks like the Jeepers, they're swapping out one of their splashes for the Dualies. Still keeping the Crab Tank, but now with a Suction Bomb.
Yeah, you have to keep the crab tank quota. It's important. But yes, like that certainly gives you a different kind of mobility, and that is an important first kill on that crab. They weren't able to get it up in time, as opposed to the stamper did go down, but that does mean there's one less crab on the side of Yoru for this first, dealing with this first. But they are able to wipe them, so that's still very important.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice wipe right there. It looks like 2 of the members is going to be pushed up, just trying to secure that first checkpoint. But already Jeepers is coming back from spawn, so they're going to have to be careful as they're moving up. See, the wipers, they do go down, so that's going to create an opening for them to grab the checkpoint.
Because a lot of their range does come from those wipers whenever they don't have a crab ready. So it is important to get rid of them if at all possible. And this does mean they're already past that checkpoint. They're going to have to pop that and see if they can push it further. But there does seem to be a DC on the side of Jeepers. I'm supposing that means a replay?
I am honestly not sure. Like, the game was going so fast on its own. Like, I don't know how the rules apply here. We'll have to hear from the higher-ups.
Yes, hear from the Splatoon gods whether or not we get a 4th game. Oh my goodness. Or whether that is that just goes by default to Yoru. But in the meantime,
I do like what Jeepers was running there. They were effectively using the 2 Splatanas as their frontliners, and then using the splash, like not necessarily a support, but sort of like a midline splash, using the Crab Tank to be a pseudo backline, especially for their first 2 matches, going up against the X-Blow. They are basically using their crafts, and we saw several times where it was just one of the splashes up, and they were able to just stall out Yoru's pushes with just a single crab while the rest of their team respawned.
Yes, indeed. That they definitely have been making good use of that crab in the way that you're talking about. And I think as well with the change from the splash to the to having a Julie's as well, allows for the splash to just be like, as you're saying, a bit more supporty midline when it's not really a midline, and let the Julie's kind of dash in, dash out, but also still keeping that crab quota. But as we were saying, now we're apparently we are able to get a replay going. So fourth game of the set.
Take two.
Yep. Yet again. Oh my goodness! What, they've changed out some of their weapons. I could never have seen that coming. Let's see who pops a crab first. Probably. Well, it was Yoru last time, but we'll see.
You have to think about using the dualies over the splash. They're effectively running triple burst bomb between the stamper and the double splash, but now with the dualies in play, they're able to get some more damage on that Rainmaker shield with the suction bomb. I think that's kind of what they were going for there.
That is true. That is true. The ability to have that extra bomb does help, specifically with the shield. That's 2 down on the side of Yoru, but Yoru was able to take down one of the crabs. And another crab. Funny when I just mentioned that. But yes, they certainly aren't giving Jeepers any room to have their crabs, as you'd probably expect. So from here, it's kind of hard to move the Rainmaker though, because of that area up at the top. So it'd be interesting to see how Yoru try to play this. And that could have worked if there wasn't a hammer right there waiting for them. But
I am really surprised by this match so far. As of up until now, Jeepers have been making the first plays, but Yoru, they put the pedal to the metal. They got a nice triple right at the beginning there, and so they were able to get the first points on the board. And this is going to be the position that Jeepers have been the last couple of games, so now Yoru has a really good chance of bringing this back, and that's another 3 down off of Jeepers.
Then that'll be a delayed wipe. They just need that Rainmaker and they need to get moving. But Yoru's taking their time a little bit, trying to figure out exactly how they want to take it, and it does look like they are going to try and take it on... Well, they were looking to try and take it on this left side, but to get more points on the board, they're going to have to be careful of that crab, which might mean that the push has got a bit delayed. They're able to get a couple more points on the board. Yep. But it does look like that push has ended.
Yeah, this is going to be the end of that push right there. Jeepers is able to rally. They were able to take down the Maker, but Yoru still has some pretty solid control of mid. Now with 2 down, both of those Splatanas going down there, and now it's just the splash remaining.
Yes, indeed. It was like Yoru was listening to us when we were saying about the aggression of Jeepers and just said, no, we'll have some of that. Jeepers was clearly not prepared. My goodness, to have their own strategy mirrored back on them. But already there's still 1 down on the side of Jeepers. They're not really, like, they're trying to get back in, but it's just not going well for them. There is still 2 minutes in the game, so they've got time, but Yoru's gonna make them sweat it out as they are trying to still get their pushes going.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about Eeltail is like there's no way to get around the other team. You just gotta brute force your way through, and with the amount of coordination and defense that Yoru's been putting up right here, Jeepers has not been able to really break that defense. Like, it's gonna take quite the coordinated push and a nice 3 or 4 down before they can start taking back mid again.
Yep, yes, indeed. And by the looks of things, Yoru's gonna keep getting points on the board as much as possible before they ever let Jeepers back into mid. Now this might be the moment, but it does still look like it's gonna be such a struggle. Even though they had a lot of their specials, I think they almost had all of them, they weren't able to get into position to use them to get them back into mid before a couple of their people got taken down. So we're under a minute now. Jeepers have got a lot of work to be doing. And it is most important that they are able to stay alive. And that's unfortunate on that hammer, though. Weren't able to actually get use out of it. But...
Yeah, Sultanas, they got a lot of aggressive power. They got some nice killing potential as well, but similar to roller urges, they need paint in order to be able to move, and Yoru's been putting down so much paint and with so much control in mid. Like, the Sultanas, they've been able to push in, but then they just get taken down almost immediately. And speaking of which, that's going to be another 3 down off of Jeepers. 10 seconds remaining. I think it's going to be a victory for Yoru.
Yep. I really don't see how Jeepers is going to be able to do anything about this. They need... There we go. They do have the Rainmaker, but there is not much they're going to be able to do from there, especially against the crab and the sloshing machine. So that means that this set goes to Yoru, which from the first game we started with, I was not expecting. This is quite a turnaround. And especially if you compare this last game with the first game, feels like we were playing with completely different teams.
Well, remember, the first game was the war of, like, it was unfortunate that they get thrown right into clams in their first match. But at the same time, it was their first match, so they needed that little bit of time to just get their momentum going, and they were able to push through in the end.
Yes, indeed. Fair play to both teams. But that will be the end of this first set. I do believe we're probably going to go on a short break while we get everything set up for the second set of the groups.
I think we will.
Yep. All right. Well, then we will see you guys back here shortly. See you in a bit.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!